In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful. Welcome to your channel Learn with Mega. In this video, I am going to talk about one of the important notions we consider to learn English literature. It is the concept of interpretation. The learners of literature, especially the beginners, should take into consideration is that in reading a literary text and analyzing it is not explaining it or paraphrasing it or taking the story for granted. It is we have to go beyond the literal meaning of the story. That is, we have to look for the meaning behind the story, the message the writer would like to convey. In interpreting, we do not only focus on interpreting what is behind the story, but also we look for textual strategies of the writer, his language used, his literary devices such as symbols, irony, allusion, figures of speech. All these devices have another meaning behind their literal meaning. In addition to the interpretation of character construction and how it is connected to the theme the writer would like to deliver, we also interpret the point of view, mood, tone of the writer, the place, uh, the time of the story. All these are to be considered in the process of criticizing any literary text, whether it is a novel, a poem, a drama, a short story, biography, autobiography, etc., among others. Let's take for as an illustration a very short story or a short story written by the famous writer James Joyce. It is one of his successful stories in his collection Dubliners. It is titled Evelyn. So, in general, the story is about a girl named Evelyn who lives in Dublin and who works in a shop. She is in charge of her alcoholic and abusive father and her father after the death of her mother. Her meeting with Frank and his proposition to take her with him to Buenos Aires and marry her has put her in a difficult dilemma. That is, between staying and facing the same hard fate as her mother, or living with the rescuer, Frank, as she thinks, for a new and happy life. So, this is in general the story of Evelyn. However, in interpreting the story, critics have come up with different interpretations, but they are all related to the situation of Ireland at the beginning of the 20th century. One of them is through the inability of Evelyn to exercise her will, to follow her emotions, to decide about her future. This is suggesting the struggle of the Irish woman at the beginning of the 20th century between keeping to the past, domestic life, or the possibility for a new married life abroad. The second interpretation which this story generates is its connection with or its political message that is connected to the situation of Ireland, which at the beginning of the 20th century was under the ruling of the British Parliament. So, through the paralysis we sense in this story, the writer is calling for an action, for a political action, for a political change, for political independence from the British Parliament. So, interpretation is this is interpretation in literature. When I read literature, I interpret it. I do not just take its elements or the story for granted. So that's all for interpretation. I'm going to talk in the next videos about other important elements that are crucial in literary analysis. Thank you for your attention.